What's up guys, CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new Hybrid TV episode. This time I'm joined as always by Will.
Hey, what's going on everybody?
And Tim.
Hey guys, how's it going?
The Hollywood Reporter came out with this massive exclusive report about the Lord of the Rings TV series and kind of how it got started, I guess how the wheels really got rolling, The big headline was, hey, they made this $250 million licensing deal for Lord of the Rings, basically. If you've missed out on this, yes, Amazon is creating a Lord of the Rings TV series. They paid the Tolkien estate $250 million to, just get the rights right up top, $250,000, just to, acquire the rights, or not $250,000, $250 million, basically just for the rights from the estate to make this series. And on top of that, beyond that, when you factor in production costs, it's expected that the series will end up costing Amazon north of $1 billion. So that's, this $250 million plus another $750 million or more. And part of that is because, one, they're aiming to make this a Game of Thrones competitor. Obviously, it'll probably be over by the time that this show comes out, but they're looking, I guess that's good for them. They're trying to position themselves as the Game of Thrones replacement, in the streaming and cable landscape. But it'll also run for 5 seasons. So what do you guys think about this? Have you guys read this Hollywood Reporter article? What do you guys think about the nature of the deal? I mean, this is basically like a 5 years up front, and just the production budget is insane, right?
Go ahead.
I mean, I guess, it makes sense with, where Lord of the Rings is coming from, those huge blockbuster films with it, I don't think they just want anyone to be working on it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think when you look at the quality of the films, I'm not going to say that they're going to be the series is going to be on par with the quality of the films, because I think that's really hard to match, because even back in the day, those budgets are still big. I think that's something that they probably were at least hoping for Amazon to have. I'm not saying that was part of the deal, because I'm reading into this and it doesn't sound like when I first read it, I was like, okay, it's 5 seasons, $1 billion. That means they're going for a $200 million budget per season. It's not quite going to be that much, but it looks like the budget for each season could very well be something like, $100 million plus when it's all said and done, which makes sense, kind of depending on how many episodes they're going to have a season. Do you guys think this could be a more standard thing in Hollywood moving forward, for big properties? This definitely seems like it would empower, not necessarily estates, but rights holders for certain major properties. I mean, Lord of the Rings
I guess it depends on how the series ends up paying out in the long run.
Yeah,
because if it doesn't really pay well enough to justify the cost, then I don't think people are gonna want to pay for these big franchises anymore and just try to do their own thing.
Yeah, it's really gonna kind of come down to return on investment. I can see you can put a lot of faith in something like the Lord of the Rings kind of universe. I feel like you could probably, even though it is kind of massive in that they're putting a lot of money into it, I can see this one paying off, but it's different than if Amazon was going to do this for a remake of Never-Ending Story. I'd be very confused to be wait a minute, hold on, this is do you think the money will make back on that? But in the case of Lord of the Rings, yes, just because the fan base I think is still there and pretty vocal, and it still continues to have decently solid entries. As someone who hasn't seen the movies, I just kind of hear secondhand that the fan base still seems very strong and passionate about it, especially with the Of Mordor games.
Well, I mean, first things first, go watch the movies. What are you doing?
I own them, haven't watched them, because I'm just going to take a day and just marathon them all for suffering. But I need the full extended cut, so I can just be there in a hole for 24 hours through 6 movies.
Lord of the Rings K-hole, but no, it's well, you can skip the Hobbit movies, to be honest.
A night marathon, if you will.
Yeah, you could. It is the series does really hold up. I mean, even to this day, the work they did. I mean, the scale of it is the movies are still just as epic now as they were when I first saw them. Back in the early 2000s, and it's one of those things where we kind of talked about this a little bit before. The fact that the budget is going to be so massive, I don't want to say it kind of gives you a hint as to what they might be trying to, hit on with the series, but, this is not Game of Thrones seasons 1, 2, and 3 budget. This is Game of Thrones right now budget, where they're, blowing millions and millions of dollars on massive battle scenes and stuff like that. I cannot really imagine that the series is going to be, it's one of those things where spending this much money on it kind of means that there's got to be some major stuff going on, either VFX wise or in terms of like battle sequences and stuff like that. Do you guys have any idea where you guys would like this to be set? Because that's still a mystery. Is what exactly this is going to cover? I think we talked about this before too. I think it's been debunked that it's going to be a reboot of the film series.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Nobody needs that. We still have a ton of space to explore. So many things they could do, I guess.
You can explore the what is that spin-off book that helps establish some of the lore?
The Silmarillion?
Yeah.
The Bible? Yeah.
the Bibble.
The Lord of the Rings Bibble.
I feel like you could do something with that and maybe the creation of the rings. I know the games have touched on that like a lot. But if you want to explore something more in those kind of realms, I feel like 5 seasons, fair game to do a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
you can do backstories to different characters. You can whole new stories. You can tell stuff in the future. You can do that Max Landis Lord of the Rings pitch, which I don't recommend, but one of those things that's really good in theory. But you think about it for 2 minutes, you're like, oh god, no, that'd be awful, just because Hollywood would find a way to mess it up.
Yeah, there is so much in the Silmarillion. It's so dense that it's one of those things that you kind of would have to pick one story and like extract it, and that might give you the most leeway to like run with things. But certainly a ton of room to develop and explore. The big thing from this article too, I think it might have been removed from the article, maybe. It wasn't removed. There is some speculation that Peter Jackson might be involved as an executive producer, but they say it's kind of remains up to him. Obviously, he's been involved in every other adaptation of the books as a director mostly. Who knows? He has Mortal Engines now, so we're not sure what his day-to-day schedule's like. But
him and Del Toro are back.
Oh yeah, the revenge.
Silmarillion, 5 seasons.
Well, now they're both. I mean, hey, they're both Oscar winners now, so can lend his. I would say if I'm the Amazon series, I'd want him as an EP. Just slap his name on there. Peter Jackson,
Oscar winner Peter Jackson, Oscar winner Guillermo del Toro, producing.
We'll see. It's kind of. I definitely recommend. I'm sure we're going to link to the article in the description when this goes up. I would definitely recommend checking it out to all our listeners right now. There's an interesting connection to the Weinstein brothers here because they've been involved in everything else, the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit stuff. So certainly a little bit of drama to this story that you could follow if you're hounding for that kind of stuff. We'll just have to wait and see what exactly this is going to cover kind of as more news emerges, and we will be talking about it on this podcast.